Right, guys, this is Jacob on the One Up Top again. This time we're previewing Newcastle versus Aston Villa. We've got Anth all the way from sunny Newcastle that's willing to talk his opinion on Newcastle, and we've got Mr. Birmingham in Simon Menear who wants to discuss Villa. Now, the way I'm going to kick this one off, first of all, boys, is over the last 10 years, there's been a rivalry between the two of you. Can you explain what's happened? I think it's something to do with someone was on the cusp of relegation or something, and then it just all went off.
There's two. I reckon there's two sides to this story.
Go on, who wants to go first then?
Well, from our side, I think we're quite similar clubs in terms of size, and we're quite. There's always been a little bit, I think, I think there's teams like Villa, Newcastle, Everton, Spurs of old. Spurs have kicked on a bit now, but like sort of 10 years ago, it was on that same sort of level where there was a bit of rivalry for European places and things like that. But then, I don't know what happened at Newcastle, but they just died a death in relegation.
I do.
Well, yeah, you can elaborate there. But they come to Villa Park needing a win to stay up. And we relegated them, which wouldn't normally be, I think, cause for much grief. But we had banners in the whole end, Sob on the Tyne, and who's your next Messiah at the deck, and we did take the piss. Warranted that we did take the piss. And then you got relegated, then you bounced back up, you smashed us 6-1, and you got your revenge there. And then we got relegated the season after. And then Newcastle came to Villa Park, I think, all ready to gloat at us getting relegated. It was they all had clown masks on and was laughing at us. That was all fair enough. But unfortunately, that they ended up getting relegated the same season. So it was a bit of a. And then we was in the Championship together, and it sort of grew from there. But I think the last couple of years it's died off a bit, and sort of teams like Leeds decided to pop up a bit.
It had died off until Jack Grealish started calling us shit when he was actually playing football the other week. You could hear it on the pitch sides, Mike. He's saying these are shit, just keep on passing it.
Jack Grealish has got a good old gob in him. So what Simon says there, Anth, is that something that you agree with as well? Is that pretty much the story?
Oh, I totally agree. It all stems from, as Simon said, it all stems from that. It was the fog on the Tyne and Sob on the Tyne and the Anth deck and all that sort of crap, you know. And to be honest, at that time I was on holiday, man. I was on holiday wanting an end of season football trip. And I'm walking around, my mate Mackham, obviously Sunderland fan, he's walking around with Damien, because Damien Duff scored no goal, and he's walking around with a Villa top. He bought this fake Villa top in Lorette in Spain, and he's walking around with Damien Duff wrote on the back of it. And I'm like, oh my God, this is just the worst thing in the world. Do you know what I mean? And then it just grew from there, and it was just like a hate, like a massive hate. But now, as I say, it has calmed down just a little bit.
Yeah, because
Grealish scored a goal, I think. Really scored a goal against was it Brighton, and that ended up you winning the league in the Championship. And it really got a little bit of love there. And then
he did.
Then I think because now you've got Brucey, Villa fans have got a bit of solidarity with any set of fans that have got Steve Bruce at the club. So we've got that.
Honestly,
feel a bit sorry for him.
You can't even get me started on that bloke, man. The bloke is absolutely hideous. I just want someone to throw him in a dustbin and leave him there. It's shocking.
Do you know what I find though with every club that's got Steve Bruce, or I think fans from the outside looking in, all guys, I don't know what I'm moaning at. But then, we got warned by Sunderland, and then we was like, "What are you on about? You did a good job at your place, didn't you?" And they're like, "No." And like. We then warned Sheffield Wednesday, and they're like, "You did a good job at your place, didn't you?" We're like, "No," and then we warned. They warned Newcastle. It's just.
Get me, honestly, to be honest, I knew from the very start there was no chance I was having him. The bloke talks absolute bollocks. He's talked bollocks from the very start when he came into my club. He's an absolute joke, man. He hasn't got a clue tactically. We paid 6.5 million for him to get him from Sheffield Wednesday. I mean, how bad's that?
I didn't even know that. I didn't know you paid that much.
Aye. 6.5 million. It just came out in the accounts last week, and Sheffield Wednesday's accounts were paid 6.5 million. The bloke is an inept fool. He's a joke. Like he's got no tactical sense. He talks complete shit. We've won 2 games out of 18. Like 2 games out of 18. Any other manager anywhere in the league, anywhere, gets sacked. That's it.
Yeah.
Point gone. Do you know what I mean? And our stupid owner sits there. I mean, don't get us wrong, he's deflecting all the problems away from himself, our owner, by employing Steve Bruce. And I think that's why it still goes on, because he employs him and thinks, oh, wait, champion, he gets all the crap, and I can just sit in the background and milk it all up, and it just deflects everything away from him. When the real issue to start with is him. He was the one who appointed him. But honestly, I can go as far as saying I'm 36-year-old. Steve Bruce is the worst manager I have ever seen in charge of my football club. And bearing in mind, we've had joking here.
For me, I think it's crazy at Newcastle. It's like when I look at your first, let's say your 15 best players, I look at the squad and I think it should be playing a lot better. Like you've got St. Alan Maximum. Like if Newcastle sold him today, he could probably choose where he wants to go because he's that good. He just gets the ball. You know, I think he's, you know, like how everybody was going on about Adama Traore when he picks up the ball, just run past everybody.
Aye.
He does it the same way, but his end product, considering he's playing for a very negative coach, is actually really good. Like if he went and played for a Man City, or better yet, if he just stepped up and went to a Spurs or an Arsenal, he'd probably bang himself 10 goals a season and maybe 5 assists. And that would be playing out in and out of games.
I would agree. I would agree, but the problem that you get with him, Jacob, there is one issue with him. He will not work. He doesn't work hard. So don't get us wrong. In a team like ours, it looks great because he is the only player, he's the only outlet, and he makes a massive difference. But that's why Jamal Lewis, has had a really poor season, because he's got nothing in front of him to defend him and to help him. He will not work hard. He doesn't track back. And sadly, Jamal Lewis come from Norwich is the next best back in the league. I think Liverpool went in for him when we bought him, and we're thinking, oh, fantastic. And he's just been left to his own devices with someone in front of him who won't track back. If you put him in a team like a Man City, I don't think he's good enough there, but if you put him in a team like Arsenal, like Tottenham, like a team like that, where he doesn't have to work as hard because you've got the ball more, you'll get the best out of a player like Maximum, definitely. And don't get us wrong, I like the bloke, but there is problems that he brings as well.
You're not sort of in a position where you can carry a player like that, can you?
No.
It's sort of, if you're having an off day going forward, which players do, it's sort of 10 men, isn't it?
I agree.
Exactly, and that's the issue that we've got. Yeah, and that's the issue that we've got, and that's what the problem is with Newcastle at the moment, that we've probably got a lot of hard workers in the team. Shelby probably can take him out of it because Shelby's just a clown. He won't track back, he won't work hard. Again, another player, when you're on the ball, great, and when you've got the ball, you've got possession, fantastic. But at the minute, we've got a team full of grappers and no creativity when Maximum's not in the team. And that's the problem, because you can put him in the team, but he brings problems as well because he doesn't work hard, and it's trying to find that balance. But you've got a coach who can't find that balance because he's ridiculously crap. You're never going to find that balance.
I think you have got a lot of grafters. Like one person that not everybody would want in their team necessarily, but I like the way he plays is Almiron. He works his socks off, man. Yeah. I guarantee you his shirt is the wettest at the end of every game. And he might not have scored. He might have even missed past all game. But he reminds me of what Tottenham have got with Lamela. Like Lamela can have some good games. He can have some really stinkers. But the one thing I salute him for is that he's committed. Whereas you've got players, we've got some players that don't do the same.
Yeah, well, Maximum, again, but all injured though as well, Jacob. So you've got Maximum injured, Almiron injured, you've got Wilson injured. So now we've got the front three out. So Almiron does bring that, and especially when Graham Jones, the new coach, has come along, which, to be honest, is Graham Jones controlling the team now? Probably, I would think that he is. I think that he's been brought in by Ashley to become above Bruce because Ashley doesn't have to give him a payout, and the tactics have completely changed. That brought the best out of Almiron, playing as like a false 9 with 2 wide strikers. You're playing him there, and he can graft hard, he can put the pressure on you on the front foot because he's always putting pressure on the back line. Again, now we've lost him. We've lost him now, and then what do you do now? You're starting all over again, aren't you?
So we'll move over to Villa side. So, last time I think I see you face to face, it was Villa in relegation. Now it's like, I don't know. You're not far off us. I think if you win your game in hand, you might even go above us if you beat Newcastle.
Yeah, there's been a couple of times I've been like that in the league.
Yeah.
But last time I saw you, I think it's when we beat Arsenal last season, which basically the game that kept us up. Yeah, whole different world. But to be fair, I think every Villa fan would have been happy this year in a sort of finishing around 12th, 11th, somewhere around there. It's where you're not in a relegation zone. You just say it's a nice steady season to build on for next season. And we have, I think that the new players we brought in have just took us that next level a bit further, a bit quicker than we thought. And we took a gamble really on sort of big money on championship players, which we've fallen foul of before, to be fair. So when we got relegated, we bought all the best championship players and it gives no favours. But we spent like 13 million on Rotten Cormac. He wouldn't bother to open his gate to come to training and things like that. But then I was a bit worried, are we doing the same thing? But now that Wilson looks the part in the Prem, I think, brings so much more than just goals. He's all over the pitch. He sort of runs his socks off again, a bit like how he's describing Almiron. He's just all over the pitch. You've got Matty Cash, proper underrated player he is. I think he's good enough to play for England. He's just in a position where about 17 other players are all.
Yeah, that's it. There's about 7 of them, isn't there?
Yeah. But
he's stocked for right backs.
Yeah, but he's such a good player, and he brings that bit of tenacity into the defence. Ezri Collins has just stepped up out of nowhere to become one of like the best defenders in the league this year. Like on form, I think there's only John Stones on form who's playing better. So it's just people. The new signs we brought in have just made the existing players step up, and with that extra year of experience, we just look a bit like we don't go into games now expecting to lose, which we used to for a long time.
That's what I'm saying. We haven't even played you yet, and I remember we were supposed to play you on my birthday, and I think there was a coronavirus hit you guys, but you do look good. Like I think one of the signings of the season's been Ollie Watkins. Like I remember saying when he's playing at Brentford, whoever signs him, he'll do well in the Premier League. So
he's been unlucky this year as well. He did the woodwork 7 times. If they'd all gone in, he'd be like one-off top scorer, I think. But then you see games like the West Ham game, you know, where he got ruled out for offside, even though he was getting looked at on the West Ham defender and things like that. He's had a bit of bad luck, but he's still got double figures, we ain't had that since Christian Benteke in the league. So yeah, it's been a bit of a breath of fresh air because Wesley last season, I don't think was a bad finisher, to be fair. He gets a bit of flack. Finisher was a good striker, but he was an old school number 9, stand there, pass it to my feet, sort of a back to goal sort of striker. Where Watkins is playing me through, and I'll get him behind the defence, and it's just unlocked that passing range that the likes of Grealish has got. Barkley coming in, has got that passing range. Just unlocked other players now because before it was just like lumping into him. And now it's okay. I can play these 3 balls that I've got in my locker, and it's just unlocked everyone. So yeah, all those are the team.
No, cool. So if we move on,
big signing everyone's forgotten about, by the way. We've got like the second best defence in the league, and it's down pretty much to Martinez. Since the game to share.
About him. I can't believe Arsenal sold him for 20 million.
They've definitely sold the wrong keeper, if you ask me. And I'm not saying Leno's a bad keeper, but Martinez.
No, he was brilliant. He was unbelievable keeping, and I don't even know why they sold him. Just keep them both. It's good to have 2 good goalies.
I don't think he was going to sit on the bench, and it was just basically choose who's going to be number 1, Leno or Martinez, and I'm sticking with Leno.
Well, I didn't realise how old he was. He's late 20s, isn't he? And he's been there for a long time, hasn't he? Well,
10 years he was at Arsenal.
Yeah, I know. Never heard of him really.
16 games or something.
Crazy.
Well, he can be an English. He can get an English passport now as well, isn't it? Because there was talk of him maybe getting into the England squad as well.
Yeah, I saw that on TalkSport. Because he's been called up to Argentina a few times. He hasn't played.
He hasn't played,
so he can still officially apply to play for England.
Crazy.
Get him in.
But if you're Nick Pope, you'd be thinking, what have I got to
do? Nick Pope ain't a bad keeper. He just doesn't know how to kick the ball.
He's terrible with his feet. He's absolutely shocking with his feet. You should have seen him against us. Oh, the mistake that he made against us was real bad. But he's a great keeper, a great shot stopper. But you need to have more as a modern day goalkeeper now. You have to have more.
We've got one of them on the bench in Tom Heaton.
What's that?
Yeah. We've got one of them on the bench in Tom Heaton. brilliant goalkeeper, but can't kick a ball.
He was up there till he got injured as well. I'm sure he had a few. Did he have a few caps?
Yeah,
I
he was in
think
the
he's played
squad
for
around.
England,
I think
yeah.
he's got a couple. He's played for England now.
That's what I'm saying. So, well, yeah. Anyway, let's move on to the fixture tomorrow, then, boys. First of all, who do you think the key players are for your teams? And be brave and give us a result. What you think is going to happen? It's up to you. Who wants to go first, mate?
Well, we've still got no Grealish, which is continuing to
Good.
be a frustration. Yeah, so no Grealish. It looks like he'll be back for Spurs, which is maybe not good for Sheep. Yeah, so key players, it tends to be just that midfield three that we've got. So Douglas Luiz, again, and whether it's Samson or Barkley, it's just on them to try and break down. Because I imagine with all the attacking players out there, the Newcastle squad, they're going to even try and capture the counter. Which is trying to unlock that sort of two banks of bank to five, as it might be. Yeah, that trying to get that creativity. So it's Barkley to step up because he's not been playing very well lately. He's coming back to fitness. I think he's played more minutes than he has trained. So it's hard to give him a bit of stick for it. But if he can step up, the creativity in the middle, that he could be key to us winning or not, I think.
What about you, Anth?
It's going to be, it'll all come down as well with the selection, what Bruce does, because last week he said that he kept Gale and Carroll on a bench last week, and he said he played Joe Willock. To be honest, Joe Willock's been great since he come in, and I think he's going to be a key player for the game as well, depending on where he plays him, because he played him in the Almiron role last week, and obviously Almiron's injured, so I'd like to see Willock come back into midfield. But Bruce came out with a corker last week and said he didn't have time to change the tactics or bring Carroll into the team or Gale into the team because he didn't have enough time on the training ground. Why, after the Wolves game, in 5 days, 6 days, they only trained twice. He only had them in twice. So how is he going to get enough time? Do you know what I mean? It's just stupid. But going back to seeing who's the key players, to be honest, it's really hard to say who's a key player for Newcastle at the minute because we have been terrible, like really bad. The defense has probably been all right. Lascelles has been okay. Clark has been decent. I would like to see Fernandez come back into the defence. I think Fernandez is going to be fit. Fernandez will probably be one of the best players all season. As soon as Kieran Clark, good defender, gets the ball, looks long all the time. And we haven't got an out up front unless Carroll's going to play it and then he goes long. But the tactics have changed recently and we have been trying to play on the front foot and press from the front, which will probably play into Villa's hands a little bit, playing on the counter-attack, playing with them creative players just behind Watkins. Definitely going to catch you out. So it'll really come down to what sort of play, who he actually plays. Richie's been out the team. He hasn't played Richie. I would like to see Richie come in probably at left back, put him in at left back, and he's probably the best crosser on the team. Get Carroll up front, get some balls in the box and try to cause some havoc. Because at the end of the day, if we don't start picking up results very, very quickly, there's only the writings on the wall where going down. It's as simple as that.
And it's at St James's Park, isn't it?
Yeah.
You make such a difference with the fans because even though Newcastle have been up and down, those fans, if they're losing or winning, they're one of the best in the country by none. And considering like you've been starved of success, it's just crazy. But if I'm going to be honest,
Sheffield United and Newcastle United, I think are the two clubs the fans the most. Possibly Liverpool.
I was going to say Liverpool as well.
Yeah,
to be honest, lads, that the thing that would go massively in my favour if the fans were in that ground, Steve Bruce wouldn't be the manager anymore. It's as simple as that. Because the amount of stick that he would go. We drove Pordew out when Pordew was here. When he stepped into the dugout, the whole crowd would boo. So it come to a time when it was untenable. He couldn't be manager anymore. And if Steve Bruce was there and we were allowed in the ground now, that's exactly what would be happening to him. So Exactly. We've tried putting them at the training ground. They're lined up at the training ground, cabbages on top of the fence and everything. We've tried that. We've tried banners, but obviously in the middle of a pandemic. I mean, I wanted to go over when he bed sheet them, but all us wouldn't let us because he said I would get locked up.
Oh dear. But yeah, so we'll close off this one now. So before you go, lads, I want score predictions because obviously in a couple of days we'll link up again. We'll review the game. You get the chance to have a bit of banter against each other, and then you can obviously talk about the next game going forward. So I'll go with you first, Anth. What do you reckon the score will be?
Sadly, 2-1 Villa.
Okay, and Si?
I think it depends. If you're sitting deep, I can't see us breaking you down because we're not very good against teams that sitting deep. So it could either be 0-0 or I think you're right with 2-1. It could be a bit of a basketball game if you could do the way. But I'll go with I'll back the Villa and go stick with the same score as you and go 2-1.
I think if I'm as a neutral, I'd probably say I can see it being a 1-1. I can just see it being one of those games where Villa are probably going to have most of the ball. Newcastle will sit off, but I just get this weird feeling that Newcastle will go and score first, and then that will they'll give you all the ball that you want, and you'll probably get a goal out of it. But I think I can just
probably no good for both of them. The draw probably no good for both of them, really, is it?
Because if you're like Simon said, if you're a Villa fan, of course, if you said to a Villa fan at the beginning of the season, 10th, 11th, 12th, they'd have bit your hand off. But for me, they're on the same points as Spurs, who people say have got an outside chance of getting top 4. They're above Arsenal.
Game in hand as well.
You got games in hand as well. So if you win, you look at West Ham. West Ham are like full front contenders, and their squad isn't. Would you say it's better than yours? They've got a good squad. I do like their squad, but would you go out there and comfortably say that West Ham?
I think their midfield's quality, isn't it? With Rice and Soucek.
Oh yeah,
brilliant. It off. It's a fantastic partnership.
Everyone just does their job at West Ham.
But that's what David Moyes is good at. You get 11 men, and they might not be world class.
That's what with us.
They will do their job. Exactly. I mean, they brought Jesse Lingard in as well. That was brilliant. So
we actually beat them first game of the season. I think it was one of the only wins.
Say that again.
We actually beat them first game of the season. I think it's one of the only wins.
Yeah, I thought you'd do it. You know, when you signed Callum Wilson, I thought to myself, well, he'll get 10 goals.
Beat us to Callum Wilson as well.
What's that?
They beat us to Callum Wilson as well.
Callum Wilson chose Newcastle over them. But the thing is, Wilson's been great. You know, he's a proper centre forward, really good. He scored a lot of his goals by penalties. You know, people forget about that. They're saying he's done really well. He has played really well, but a lot of his goals come on penalties. But to come back to your point there, Jacob, to be honest, I'm a Newcastle fan, season ticket holder. I knew what you were going to do. I would tell everyone that would listen, if Steve Bruce was still in charge at the end of the season, we'll get relegated. And sadly, that's the way it's going to go. I can see Fulham pipping with. I think Fulham will get out of it, and probably Brighton, us will fall into it, and it'll come between the two of them. But Brighton play a hell of a lot better football than us.
Yeah, obviously, all the grey baggies are going down now, yeah.
Yeah.
I did, thank you.
I just done a video.
See that on Sam Allardyce's TV.
I just did it. You remember Jason Taylor? Simon.
Yeah.
You remember Jason Taylor? I just done a video for West Brom with him, so you'll see that later on, guys. But yeah, so what we'll do is we'll have another catch up next week. We'll have a review of the game, and we'll keep going and keep chatting about football like we always want to. So good to chat to you guys. Good way to start it off. And
right. See you later. See you later, lads.
Good luck to you.
See you later.
Cheers, chaps. All right, mate.